What's up, everybody? We back with another message, another video. Thank you to all my new subscribers and future new subscribers. You know we do nothing here without God because everything is spiritually led by God over here. We cover the world from a spiritual and physical aspect to get the raw, real, and uncut answers. So anything you hear, anything you see in these end times, may you test the spirits, aka take the words and visuals back to prayer with God. As there are many Decepticons running around these end times sent from the enemy, had that strong, close, and personal relationship with God, good, great, awesome. And if you are interested in that one-on-one Discord conversation, the information is pinned in the comments section and in the description down below. Good, great, and awesome. The Lord has a lot to say with this message. You know, we're just going to be going over a few things when it comes to the whole wealth transfer and what you need to be thinking about and recognizing and realizing, okay? If you hadn't already noticed certain things, then it will be brought to your attention this video. All right, so let's start off with what the Lord had to say. So this is what he said. Many will suffer in the coming times. They are blind right now. Understand that many of you have all of the instructions given to you. Now it is up to you whether or not to go through with it. You either listen or you don't listen. I make things easy to understand. Simplified instructions. Know that there will be no excuse. Do not immediately jump up and start making your own decisions with what I have given you. You wait for me. That includes everything. A man who will be homeless was yesterday's millionaire. Ask for permission before you do anything. So basically, the first person you see, don't just start giving them anything because you don't know who they was yesterday. So you always got to ask for permission, okay? That's what that means, just to give a little clarity. And he says, I mean that. I get this is an exciting time, but you have zero reason to rush. Rushing equals mistakes. I repeat, rushing equals mistakes. This is not a game where there's a restart button. Everything you do has consequences, good and bad. You know my initial instructions to you, so follow them. Many of you tend to forget what I have told you the first time. Not every opportunity is from me. If it does not align with my initial instructions to you, then you know the answer, which is no, to those other opportunities. I am tearing down the wicked. So you just be ready and let me handle the rest. That's what he had to say. So let's talk about some things involving this wealth transfer. So first things first, you want to make sure you know how to use the exchange that you're on. You want to know how the design works. How do you buy? How do you sell? How do you move from one place to another? How do I get this in? Where do I find certain things from this exchange? You want to make sure you know how to operate and maneuver through an exchange and you're not just sitting on something you don't know how to maneuver through, okay? Network fees, we talked about this. Make sure you're paying attention when you are doing transfers and selling and buying and all that stuff and moving. Pay attention to what it's telling you, what gas fees you will be using for moving through networks, all right? Credit union. Now, if you've been led to one, this doesn't just apply to people that are in crypto or whatever. It also applies to people that have their monies in like these main banks. Again, test the spirits and ask the Lord what he wants you to do personally. I can't tell you what to do. But, credit unions over banks, that's for sure. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Because if you want to pay for something and you don't want your accounts being closed, you should probably do a credit union just so you can pay for things and whatnot. That's all that's going to be for. Or if you are making big purchases, okay, do it through a credit union if the Lord leads you to do that particular purchase through a credit union, where your funds are stored. So, yeah, multiple wallets. Again, you wouldn't walk in a store with your whole bank account, so you need multiple wallets to separate and distribute funds to different places just in case something happens or, spread everything out. Having everything in one place is not smart, okay? And that's where we talked about security for your wallets and devices like your computers, laptops. Make sure you have antiviruses and all that on there. So if not, ask the Lord, pray about it, okay? So planning, we talked about big purchases. So first of all, don't just be somebody when we get this transfer to start putting it in the banks. You're just going to lose it. Don't be somebody that jumps up and, like the Lord said, don't jump up and start doing stuff. Sit down and plan how you're going to maneuver, because we need to figure out, okay, where are we going to put all this? None of us have had this amount of funds before. So you need to slow down, sit down, and process what you have and how you're going to move it to different places, how much you're going to put to pay for certain things. Or if you're making big purchases, call the credit unions and whatnot. Call places, let them know I'm doing this type of transfer, I'm doing this. Don't just try to do something so your stuff get frozen. Plan with the Lord, because when this stuff first happens, God is not going to be sending people out there to help people right away. Okay, he's not. He might send you to help certain people once you get established, but you not going to be out there helping people right away. Okay, for selective listeners, right away you will not be out there helping a bunch of people, because people got to suffer first for not listening to God. People got to go through the struggles in order to be turned to the faith. They have to go be put through suffering. We've been through our suffering. Now they got to go through theirs for not listening. That's the only way they're going to be able to be put in a situation where God can come in and help them if they turn to him. So we're going to be sitting still, kind of getting ourselves together. And while we're getting ourselves together and planning and moving and doing whatever the Lord has set you to do, as things fall, you've got to be quiet, because everybody around you going to be messed up. And you do not take what God has given you to do what you want to do. So your heart might be in the right place to help somebody, but if God didn't tell you to do it, then you don't do it, because you could be hurting that person. So that's what he means. Ask for permission. Do nothing without him. And if you are somebody that's struggling to figure out how he's communicating, then you're going to have to sit there in patience and figure it out, because there's not going to be somebody sitting there with you telling you the Lord said this and the Lord said that. I'm going to be transparent with y'all. When this stuff happens, I'm going to be handling my business, like I said, but also I'm going to have to do videos of all the stuff God has told me previously and put it all together and finalize it. So that's going to be a thing in itself. I love to help the body of Christ, but I'm not going to be able to hold people's hands through this process entirely. It's not going to be able to work that way. At some point, you have to improve. At some point, you have to take accountability to where you're standing. Have you been doing what God has told you to do initially? Are you seeking him instead of just seeking a person because you aren't trying to figure it out? Because people won't have access to people like myself and other people that, hear him clearly all the time. It just isn't going to happen like that. Everybody can get to a point where they know how God communicates with them. So if you're not there yet, then you got some practicing to do. You need to work on it. You've got to. Okay? And you've got to. If you know the signs God has given you at least a little bit, okay, you're moving in the right step. But you've got to get that down. Because people are not going to be able to sit there. You going to that minister or this minister or that minister, you know what's going to happen to you? You go to the wrong person and they're going to say, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, the Lord told me to tell you to invest into this church so that you can be blessed and yada, yada. But that church ain't doing what they supposed to be doing. So you got to be quiet and learn how to be independent with God. Because if not, God is not going to be able to trust you with anything, because you slacking or slacking. God says in his word, call to me and I shall answer you and show you great and mighty things. So once you've called out to God, he's answered you. You just got to figure out how he's responding to you. Everybody got to figure it out. Okay. So then we got to kind of let God break things down with this system so he can build his financial system And so we can store whatever we've got into his new system. XRP, from the looks of it, looks like it's going to be that new system. I don't know how he's going to do all this. I really don't. So I don't have those answers for people. We just have to wait until he either gives direct word on it or wait until he does it, because it'll be very obvious when you see it. Because he's, been kind of hinting and telling us certain things. But yeah. So there's a lot of step-by-step process. Don't just get up and start doing stuff because okay, I got the fund. Let me just get up and do everything. Don't be somebody that say, what do I do? Yada, because you already had instructions over the months to figure it out. That's going to fall on you. So listen now before things go down. Okay? Do not procrastinate and do not be somebody that's not listening to God. You just got to be willing to follow the instructions and be willing to be patient with yourself and him. All right? Okay. So that's really the gist of everything, all right? So peace and blessings, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.